November has come and gone, but your Aggies are here to stay. The season for New Mexico State football has come to a close, and we have the highlights from their season finale at Arkansas State. Head coach Doug Martin will also stop by to recap this season and look ahead to 2015. Last week was a big week for Aggie athletics as Mario Mocha was appointed New Mexico State's new director of athletics. You'll get a chance to meet the new AD and hear some of his plans for the future. And we finished today's show by sitting down with head men's basketball coach Marvin Menzies to talk about his team's recent schedule and look ahead to the upcoming rivalry game against UTEP. If you're looking for Aggie news, we have you covered. This is New Mexico State Sports Weekly. Aggie up. This is New Mexico State Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Adam Young. Your Aggie football team just returned from Jonesboro, Arkansas after playing their final game of the season against Arkansas State. Leading by only 6 points at halftime, Arkansas State used a big second half to run away from the Aggies and pick up a 68-35 victory. The loss gave New Mexico State a final record of 2-10 in 2014. Let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday in Jonesboro. Aggies taking on the Red Wolves in their final regular season game of 2014. It was a blustery day at Arkansas State as the Aggies took the field. First quarter action, opening drive of the game. Red Wolves quarterback Freddie Knighton drops back and he finds Michael Gordon, who weaves his way into the end zone with a 45-yard touchdown reception, 7-0 Arkansas State. If you like offense, then you like this one. Aggies promptly drive the length of the field, and Tyler Rogers finds Greg Hogan for an 8-yard touchdown hookup. Game is all tied at 7-7. The Aggies going punch for punch with the Red Wolves early on. The Aggies defense will look good early. Clint Bernard intercepts the ball, but watch the top of your screen. An illegal block in the back negates the pick six. Aggies threw an interception later on in the drive, and a good chance is wasted for New Mexico State. Second quarter, ensuing Arkansas State possession. Watch Michael Gordon. It looks like the trick play is going nowhere, but he reverses his field, zigzags around defenders, and he finds the end zone. A 35-yard touchdown run, 13-7, Red Wolves. Next possession. We've been talking about him for weeks, and boy, did he finish off his freshman season on a high note. Running back Larry Rose III. This kid is special. He goes 80 yards to the end zone, and on this run, he passes 1,000 for the season in rushing yards, becoming the first Aggie freshman to reach that milestone since 1995. And the Aggies actually led at that point. It was 14-13, New Mexico State. It was another big day for wide receiver Greg Hogan. The Aggie wide receiver had 9 catches for 162 yards. Here's the second of his 3 touchdowns. He goes 75 yards to the house, 21-20 Aggies. The Aggies would trail 27-21 the break. It was a good first half for New Mexico State against a strong Arkansas State team. Third quarter, Arkansas State starts to pour it on. Freddie Knighton finds Kenneth Raines wide open for the 22-yard touchdown hookup, and the Red Wolves now lead 48-28. The Aggies defense really struggled in half number 2. On to the fourth quarter. Rogers trying to get something going. Here he hooks up with Adam Shapiro for the 26-yard reception, but the Aggies would be stopped on downs inside the 5 later on in that drive. More from Greg Hogan. Here he scores his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon, a 35-yard reception from Tyler Rogers, and that cuts the Arkansas State lead to 61-35. And in the game's final minute, Rogers is picked off by Andrew Tryon. He takes it 46 yards to the end zone, and that's all she wrote. Final score, Arkansas State 68 and New Mexico State 35. Final stats for you, a big day for both offenses, especially Arkansas State. The Red Wolves collected nearly 800 yards of total offense. The turnover battle was even, and the Aggies actually had the edge in time of possession, but New Mexico State loses their season finale to finish the year with a record of 2-10. When we return, head football coach Doug Martin will join us in the studio. We'll recap the game against the Arkansas State Red Wolves, and Coach will also share some of his plans for next year. Stay tuned. This is New Mexico State Sports Weekly. Welcome back to New Mexico State Sports Weekly. Aggie football played their final game of the season last Saturday against the Arkansas State Red Wolves. It was a big offensive day for New Mexico State, once again anchored by freshman running back Larry Rose III, but Arkansas State used a strong second half to pull away from the Aggies and secure a 68-35 win in Jonesboro. Joining me now to break down the game is head football coach Doug Martin. Larry Rose III goes past 1,000 rushing yards for the season, Coach. How big is that milestone, especially for a freshman?
Well, that's big for a freshman to do that, Adam. And I thought also a lot of that credit belongs to our offensive line. You know, they did a great job of, clearing way for him, protecting the quarterback this year. We gave up very few sacks, but Larry is going to be a special player to watch around here for several years.
Another individual, wide receiver Greg Hogan, had a big game again. Do you feel like he really elevated his play down the stretch this year?
He did, yeah, he really did. And I've been waiting for Greg to have one of those breakout games. He's a very talented young man. I think he's just starting to mature and learn how to practice and learn how to work. And again, he's one of those guys, if he gets bigger and goes to the weight room, he could be one of the best receivers in the conference.
Looking at the game as a whole, your team had some leads in that first half. You trailed by only 6 at halftime. Can you pinpoint a moment when the game kind of got away from you?
Well, I think when we didn't come out and score early in the third quarter, we need to get some momentum there and help our defense out because they were struggling. And, we were a little bit outmatched up front, defensively, which has kind of been a theme this year. Until we give these freshman defense players a year in the weight room, that's going to happen to us. And when we didn't score there early in the third quarter, it kind of let things get away from us.
Looking ahead to next season, a lot of freshmen and sophomores played big roles this year. Where's the excitement level for the future?
Well, when you look at the players, like you mentioned, Larry Rose, Greg Hogan, Teldrick Morgan, another freshman receiver. Tyler has had his moments this year where he's been really good. The entire offensive line returns. We only lose one senior off the defense, so there's going to be a lot of good times ahead for us. It's all about player development now. We've got to get these young men that are true freshmen that played, and they need a year in the weight room. And, they haven't had that yet. They need that year to get bigger. When you picture Larry Rose with 15 more pounds on him, that's a scary sight for opponents, and that's where we've got to get all those freshmen.
Are there any guys we didn't see much of this year that could have an impact next year?
There's several. William Clement is a linebacker that we redshirted this year that we think could be an excellent football player. Jordan Bergstrom is one of our wide receivers, has played quite a bit in the past, but we redshirted him this year also to put some space in between the other receivers. Nick Jante is another quarterback that was redshirted this year that I think has a wealth of potential. So there's a lot of guys that will be coming also to help that, plus this next recruiting class we have coming in.
What's the schedule like going into the offseason?
Yeah, it's all about recruiting right now. Our coaches are all on the road. We've got a recruiting weekend coming up here in December 6th. There'll be a small one. The last 3 weekends in January will be our big high school recruiting weekends. And if we can put together another recruiting class like this one that we just brought in, we're going to be in business for a long time here.
Coach, we appreciate the time all year.
Adam, thank you. You guys have been great.
When we return, we have a special treat as we'll give you a first look at the new man in charge of New Mexico State Athletics. Stay tuned. This is New Mexico State Sports Weekly. Dr. McKinley Boston will be stepping down from his position as the Director of Athletics for New Mexico State at the end of the year, and his replacement looks promising. Mario Mocha was recently announced as the new AD with a start day of January 5th. New Mexico State Sports Weekly has your first look at the new man in charge, Mario Mocha.
I'm really excited today, not just from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. New Mexico State University is a tremendous institution. It's an institution that has a special place in my heart, and I think it's an institution that has a tremendous amount of potential from an athletic standpoint.
Those were the words of new athletic director and New Mexico State alum Mario Mocha last Monday at his inaugural press conference. He already has a vision in place when he begins his tenure on January 5th, 2015.
We want to have academic integrity, we want to have social responsibility, and we want to have competitive intensity. Those are kind of like the 3 core principles. We are going to focus on football, and I'm an Aggie. I get it, what people say about Aggie football, but we can win here. We're going to do everything we can to give our coaching staff all the resources possible, to be very competitive in our league. So that's something I'm excited about.
In all those interviews and in all of the conversations we had with references, he seemed to stand out a little bit in terms of his ability to go out into the community to raise funds and to advance the brand of athletics. I think being an Aggie kind of connects you with Aggies. And so he'll have a better time with our alumni base than perhaps somebody else would have. But that's not going to get the job done. He's going to have to expand his market area dramatically.
You know, President Carruthers really sold me on his vision. You know, he really wants everything in the institution to be, you know, as good as it can be, athletics included. You know, a lot of the guys in the search firms said, hey, you know what, you've got a good, solid, diverse athletic background, you know, not just externally, but you've done some things internally. So everybody I spoke with really said, man, I think you'd be perfect for that job. I mean, that was kind of the overarching theme, is that they said, you know what, you would be really good, you know, or New Mexico State is what you need, or hey, you know, that would. So all of those little comments all seem to flow in one direction, that, hey, maybe these two, you know, entities or two parties were kind of meant for each other, and I hope that turns out to be the case.
Mocha brings a load of experience to New Mexico State University. He has served as athletic director at Southern Illinois Carbondale since 2006. Under his leadership, the Salukis won conference championships in 11 different sports, and he raised nearly $80 million that went to improving athletic facilities. He was also named Under Armour Athletic Director of the Year in 2013.
I think the reality is I want to go to our existing supporters, and in that I want to ask them, who else do I need to be talking to? You know, I'm not going to know a whole lot of people off the bat, but you know, one of the true stories is how we raised $12 million privately at Southern Illinois. When I first got there, there was 30 names on the list. And I said, I don't think this is going to get it done. And I went to 3 key people and I said, who else needs to be on this list? And you know what? That list grew to 150, and then it grew to 300. So by doing that, asking people who needs to be involved, I think the president's been very clear. You know, he wants the AD, can't maybe primarily or necessarily be the only chief fundraiser, but that is a big part of an AD's job these days. How are we going to focus on increasing attendance? Number one, ask our current folks and ask part of the community, hey, what do we need to be doing more? Hey, I'm an alum, but haven't been back in a while, so I need to take the temperature of folks. But I'm telling you, I'm not gonna, and you know, people maybe ridicule me, we're not gonna accept that we can't win in football here. Absolutely not. We can win, and we're gonna put things in place to try to make sure that happens. But we're gonna ask folks to help us, and we're gonna ask them their opinion, and then we're gonna implement as many of the good ideas we can on our budget.
For Aggie Vision, I'm Vinny Conway.
After the break, we'll be joined by head men's basketball coach Marvin Menzies. His team has faced a rigorous early season schedule. With 3 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, the Aggies are hungry for a 4th. Coach Menzies will break down his team's start to this season when we come back on New Mexico State Sports Weekly.
This is what gets you ready. You know, this is the back-to-back. You take a day off, and then you got another game. You take 2 days off, then you got another game. This is the grind. You know, this is the times of year where you test your your mental toughness a little bit. You put your guys in a situation where they're challenged.
New Mexico State men's basketball is coming off a busy stretch last week. The Aggies played 2 games at home before ending the week on the road at Wyoming. After lopsided wins against Stetson and Florida A&M, the Aggies fell by 3 to the undefeated Cowboys in Wyoming over the weekend. The theme has been tough opponent after tough opponent so far this season for the Aggies, and the schedule doesn't get any easier as the calendar flips to December. Here with me now in studio is head coach Marvin Menzies. Coach, no question, a tough schedule so far this year. Just how tough has it been?
Well, you know, we've won the ones we're supposed to, and the ones we wanted to, we didn't get a chance to sneak any wins in there. So, you know, it's been, I'm excited still. You know, at this time, you know, you say, well, your record is whatever it is, and you're going, well, why are you excited? Well, because there's a lot of circumstances surrounding the record that, you know, you wish you could have a couple back. But even in the losses, I feel like our guys have really competed and gotten better playing the way that we're playing this year. So the one at Wyoming, as you just mentioned, was a tough one, you know, but I thought our young guys played really well and handled themselves well. So, you know, I'm optimistic still.
Even with those close losses, do you feel like this can help you in March?
You know, I do. You know, when we laid out the schedule, you look at it and you go, hey, we got to have some competition here early on the road that's that's going to be the type of environment that we'll see either in the WAC tournament or a few of the road games in conference. And then that kind of adversity prepares young guys especially for a tournament game. You know, hopefully we'll be back in the tournament, but if that happens, you want to have them prepared for that opportunity. So, you know, as you look at the overall schedule, it lends that way.
Individually, Remy Berry was really good again last week. He's 6'8", shoots the ball well from the arc. How tough of a matchup is he for opponents?
You know what? It's funny. Everyone keeps telling me how great Remy's playing. And if Remy and I sit, we've expected this forever. So I'm not surprised in the first point. The second point is he's got to do other things defensively. Defensively, his counterpart is scoring as well. So he's got to take his game to another level as a senior. Now, you know, it's easy to come on and tell you how great he is and give him all the, but he's like a son to me. So he hears it. He's already heard it. So this is when he's watching Aggie Vision. It's not going to be a surprise. He's going to be like, Coach, I can't believe you said on television. Well, the truth of the matter is, yeah, he's got to improve his defense. But he is playing exactly as I expected offensively, shooting it at a great percentage. You know, playing like a senior, playing like a man. We fine-tuned a couple other pieces of his game, his blocking out and his ability to keep guys in front of him. He's going to be every bit as good as advertised from day one.
When we return, Coach and I will preview the Aggies' first home rivalry game of the season when UTEP visits Las Cruces for the I-10 showdown. Don't go anywhere. This is New Mexico State Sports Weekly. The New Mexico State men's basketball team will welcome UTEP to the Pan American Center this Saturday for the I-10 rivalry game. This will be the second meeting between the two teams in a 2-week span. Head coach Marvin Menzies is with me in studio. 2 matchups with the Miners in 2 weeks. Does this benefit either of the two teams?
You know what? Ask me next week. I don't know. You know, it's just we're dealing with it. They're dealing with it. It's one of those things where you just take the one in front of you, and you know, the fact that we've already played UTEP and have a chance to everything that exists for us in preparation for Saturday exists for them.
Yeah.
So, you know, is it an advantage? I don't know. I mean, it is what it is.
Looking back to the first meeting, what did you guys do well against them, and what things did they do that caused some problems on your end?
You know, I think the rebounding was key. I thought we did a really good job the first half, and I thought we did a really bad job the second half. They out-rebounded us by 7 or 8 the second half, and vice versa, the first half. So that was something that we got to shore up and hopefully sustain for the duration of the game. But Tim has his guys playing really well right now. I watched them play a couple times already since we played them in a tournament out in California. And they're just playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing together. There's some, you know, we caught them early. I think that was maybe only their second game or something like that, and we played them the first time. So they've improved, and we've improved. So it's interesting to see how both seasons are unfolding. So I think it's going to be a war Saturday night, and I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
You had Chili Napawe the first time around. He's day-to-day with a foot injury. If you don't have Chili, who needs to step up in his absence?
You know, chances are we won't have Chili, but, you know, we're going to get some more information here today and tomorrow that might give us a, but even if we do have him, we're not going to have him for the amount of time that we had him last time. To your question, you know, it's got to be by committee. You know, it just really does. I think the way that we're playing, you could be anybody on any given night. They did a really good job on Daniel last time.
Yeah.
And we knew that what they were going to do. We know they were going to face guard him all over the place. The problem was we had guys that really took care of their business off the ball, off Daniel, and did a great job in the first half. And then the second half, it faltered a little bit. So we've got to play a full 40 minutes, and I think it's got to come from a lot of people. And Daniel, we got to get going. We got to get Daniel going a little bit more. So I may run a few more things to free him up in those circumstances.
One of your big guys who was a reserve, now a starter, Pascal Siakam, has played very well. Did you expect him to be this good this early?
You know, we're still very young in the season. He's had some pretty good games. I knew he was a special talent when we recruited him. You know, for those who don't know at home, he redshirted last year, even though he's a freshman. So he's been on campus. He's had the exposure to what the rivalry is. He's had the exposure to to you know, some of our resources and things that they're allowed within compliance. But I didn't know that he was going to play like a sophomore, even though, you know, academically he's a sophomore. I didn't realize he would play like a sophomore, and that's what he's doing. So he's been a bright spot for sure.
Finally, Coach, give us a preview. What's the atmosphere like at the Pan American Center when the Miners come here?
Okay, let me see. Well, first of all, it's all crimson. I can't see any orange. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, I can't even hear myself. I feel like I'm on the road, except it's all positive. It's all positive. Great visual. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Come out to the Pan American Center this Saturday when your Aggies take on I-10 rival UTEP in the first home rivalry game of the season. Coach, best of luck.
All right, thanks a lot.
Season tickets for men's and women's basketball are now on sale. To be part of the excitement, call the Aggie ticket office at 575-646-1420. You can also get your tickets online at mstatesports.com or ticketmaster.com. If you missed any part of today's show, you can check us out on YouTube, and also be sure to stay up to speed on social media by liking New Mexico State Athletics on Facebook and following us on Twitter. That will do it for this week's installment of New Mexico State Sports Weekly. I'm Adam Young saying thank you for watching, and go Aggies.